Welcome to Get the Balance Right, a podcast for creative entrepreneurs and firm owners looking to grow their business in a healthy, sustainable way. I'm your host, Heather Zeitzwolf. I'm a CPA and I serve this community with coaching and profit advising. Please join me as I talk with leaders in digital media, branding, advertising, design, marketing, and SEO. On today's podcast, I am joined by Tom Herring and Mary Ann Harmer. They are the brainchildren behind Benefit Corporations for Good. You may have heard of it. It's a certification program that really helps companies focus on their triple bottom line: people, planet, and profit. You may have heard of another certification program called B Corp. This is sort of similar, but if you're a smaller company, this might be the type of certification that is best for you. I actually got certified myself recently, so I have joined their community. I'm super excited about this. Tom and Mary Ann are longtime friends. They even collaborated on a book called Putting Soul into Business. On today's podcast, we talk about the origins of the book, how they started Benefit Corporations for Good, and their background that happens to be in marketing. Welcome to my podcast. Hi, Tom. Hi, Mary Ann.
Hello. Hey, Heather.
Hola.
How are you?
Just to start off, you just tell me a little bit about your backgrounds and how you came about forming Benefit Corporations for Good.
So Mary Ann and I have known each other the majority of our careers. Early in our careers and through the bulk of our careers, at least our first two acts, as we like to say, we have been in the marketing communication, leadership kind of roles in more of the corporate America. Mary Ann being more in corporate healthcare, I being in the traditional ad agency days. We've done work with each other over the years. This was about Mary Ann. I just was thinking about this today. 4 years ago, next month, Mary Ann came to me. She asked me to meet her for a beer. And I said, absolutely. And it was, it's warm August day, had a beer. And she said, Tom, I really want to do something great with this next act, this third act of my career in life. And I want you to come along with me. And I said, well, right off the bat, sold, because I've always had the highest degree of respect, just honored all of the work that Mary Ann's done in her career. She truly is a passionate, powerful, smart, anything you would want in a business partner, number one.
I am humbled and the feeling is mutual. But
well, it's really true. She's amazing. She really is amazing. So what happened, Heather, is that we talked about us tag teaming and working together on helping nonprofits with some really senior leadership in terms of marketing and with, some leadership issues that might be going on, some training, strategic planning, all of those things. And we started off down that path, and we had some projects and met some really awesome people along the way. But during that period, we were finding while the work was challenging, it wasn't rewarding enough for us to really make it sustainable. In this period, Mary Ann got exposed to a meetup group where the Oregon Benefit Company was discussed. We met the next day or so for coffee, and we were talking about it. We felt this is really the great way to go for us, and that is the meeting of a very purpose-driven business. So it has a little bit of the nonprofit world in it. It has the for-profit world, which we knew best. And we thought this is something we could really get some traction with, because it's still, even though it's been on the legislative books here in Oregon since 2014, January 2014, over 6 years now, it's almost 6.5. Very few people know about this because the state did not put any really public awareness campaign to promote it. We took it upon ourselves. We love the concept. We wrote a book called Putting Soul into Business, and we interviewed 11 thought leaders that were either certified B Corps or benefit companies. And the majority were B Corps because there weren't that many certified benefit companies at the time. And we can talk about the nomenclature because it's very confusing for most people that don't know what an Oregon benefit company is, what a benefit corporation is, what a certified B Corp is. Long story short, the book got the attention of a friend of ours in the Secretary of State's office. Kate Brown had initially shepherded the legislation when she was Secretary of State, and she wanted to have a standard for the Oregon Benefit Company that was state-based. We are the only ones now that are state-based in terms of being a certifying agency. The other three are all out of state. But that kind of came together at the same time we were introducing our book. And then Marianne and I kind of took it upon ourselves to get out there and really educate and help the business community, the small business community in particular, learn what this means to a company in terms of people, planet and profit, but more importantly, their stakeholders, their employees, their prospective employees, their community members, and of course, their customers and prospects out there. And this is gaining so much momentum right now. Marianne and I have been talking about this a little bit, but I feel this steam is really starting to go now. And I don't think there's going to be any turning back. The businesses must have some sense of purpose outside of profit, or they're going to be left behind. And I think this is particularly true with the millennial generation and with Generation Z. They both are looking for that. But that's kind of how we got together. And we've really been on the Secretary of State's website as a sanctioned, authorized third-party standard since April of 2018. So it's just a little over 2 years. And we have 41 businesses we've certified to date. We have 5 or 6 right now in the hopper. It's hard to believe. And we have certified businesses both in and out of the state of Oregon. So that's another question we get. And there have been a couple in Colorado. There's one in the state of Arizona. We believe there's going to be one in the state of Virginia.
Hey there, this is Heather. Besides being a podcast host, I'm also a CPA and profit advisor. I help creative agencies grow in a sustainable manner. Right now, I'm offering a complimentary healthcare check of your business. So if you go down to the show notes, you'll see a link and you can sign up. All right, now back to the show. For people that are not really aware of this whole movement, can you explain what the whole triple bottom line is and how the Benefit Corporations for Good supports this movement?
Sure. I'll jump in there, because the one thing I would add to what Tom said about how we got to where we are is that for us in this chapter in our lives is a business for us, but it's also our passion, and we want it to be a movement. We are supportive of B Lab and B Corp and the things they're doing. We're supportive of conscientious capitalism. We're supportive of social entrepreneurs. So it is that we think, a very viable piece of that whole movement. And the movement is, again, when you look at the triple bottom line, it's not just about shareholder value, stakeholders in terms of, who's invested, the VC that's invested, but it's return to also the community. And that's what the triple bottom line is all about. It's that you have to consider people, and people means the community. It means your vendors. It means your employees. It means your partners, that you pay attention to those elements. You, of course, pay attention to the planet. So it's green practices, it's how to be sustainable and create all of those things. And in doing that, you, again, can augment your profit, because these are particularly small businesses, want to, again, succeed, want to bring in revenues. But we believe that really focused on people and planet, then the profit comes as well. So that there's this three-legged stool that together is kind of going to create a better world. It's what's going to create a healthy community. So we're not, too long historically, it's been all about profit. And so this is, again, why we call our book Putting Soul into Business. So it's about concerning people and planet as well.
For someone who has a new business, or they're just a solo entrepreneur, how do they know when they're ready to get certified? Do they have to have certain processes in place? Do they have to donate a certain amount of money? Do you have to volunteer a certain amount? What makes someone qualified to be certified?
Heather, what's really great about this whole concept is you can be ready from the get-go. A business decides to become a business. There is no strong mandate other than the fact you must have a purpose-minded mindset. You're just not in business for profit. You see the value of helping your community, of helping your employees, of helping the environment, of helping the planet. So we have had businesses start, they've gone through the certification process with us even before they have technically, hung out their shingle. We have a simple test on our site that's free. It's on our homepage at benefitcorporationsforgood.com. And we call it our sniff test. There are 12 basic questions that a business owner can go ahead and go through and then see where he or she fits on that level if they are right for becoming a benefit company. But it's We've had them at all stages. We've had many that have just started right from the get-go before they've incorporated with the state. Others have been ongoing businesses, and they decided to switch over. They see the benefit in becoming an organ benefit company.
So on your website, it says something like it'll take you about 1 to 2 hours to fill everything out. Before someone goes on there to fill that out, what kind of information do they need to have on hand? Do they have to have records of like how much they donated, hours that they've done certain things? What kind of information do they need to gather?
Yeah, that's a great question because we get asked that a lot. Our 48 questions, they revolve around people, planet, and also good business practices. So with those 48 questions, and people have said actually when they've taken the test, it actually is the roadmap for them about what else they have to do. The people that take this test, after they've done the sniff test, it's like we're focused on your intent. We ask for you answer each question, do self-assessment on a scale of 1 to 5. How often do you do such? But then there's space, of course, to fill in why you answer that question. And that's where we get the real meaty. We're really, particularly in year 1, what we want to do is encourage companies to start this path, to start this journey. We're really focusing on what is your intent? Because some people say like, I give myself a 5, but it's just me right now. It's like, what is your intent? And they said, absolutely, I want to be inclusive, and this is how. So what we're trying to do is get them to articulate kind of like, is this in your DNA? Are you really a cause-driven individual? So it's as much about your leadership as a person. And so this questions, which people say actually functions as kind of a roadmap because they said, I never thought about that. Well, I'm going to try harder next year. It allows them to kind of think about who they are. In fact, we've often said that people have to get recertified the year later. And sometimes the scores actually slip because now it's actually, I have to actualize this. The first year was the promise, I'm going to be this way. I'm really going to recycle everything. I'm going to only use vendors that are, whatever. Then it gets a little harder when you actually actualize it. But it really helps people understand where they are today. And it's about who they are as leaders. It's an assessment for conscientious leaders. That's another phrase we use a lot. In fact, we did a huge conference about this last year about, conscientious leadership. You don't have to necessarily be a benefit company to be a conscientious leader, but benefit companies reflect conscientious leaders. Kind of where it's going and why people can start anywhere, as Tom said, in that journey, because we're testing like, who are you? And then, of course, we follow up, which is nice after we've assessed your 48 questions with this follow-up kind of interview. Well, here's how you did. And we say, well, this area you need a little more work on. And so then we kind of coach them how they can continue the journey.
So it does help modify people's behavior, and you see that it's making an impact that because of being recertified, that they are taking more action with their business?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Just to tag on to what Marianne said, it's an aspirational It's aspirational your first year. Here's really, in the best of scenarios, where I see my business going. But it's after that first year where we remind them, this is part of our job as their certifier, is to say, hey, your first year's up. Do you need to produce an annual benefit report? And therein lies, as Marianne was just referring to, the aspirational becomes reality. And well, here's what we did as a business. Here's what we did for our community. Here's what we did for our employees. Here's what we did for any of the nonprofit organizations we might be working with. But it's really, Heather, it's what's nice about this concept. It is up to the business to decide who and where they want to align their work with. If it's a nonprofit, who they want to do work with, how much time they want to commit. We are guidance counselors, basically, through this process, right, Marianne? I mean, what we really tried... And we always underscore that you must make this decision. If you have employees, even if it's just 2 or 3, you make that decision collectively. You guys decide what is best for your business and where your passion is for your community and what you can do. All of them do great work, but it's totally up to the business to make that decision. And as Marianne said, it's self-assessed. And the thing that we found in this certificate after 41 times doing this and evaluating businesses, they're always harder than they really, It is amazing. They're making the grade, and then we look at it and we say, boy, you're doing some really good things here. This seems like a very tough number. You should be at a higher level here just because of the work you've put into it and the commitment you've made to whatever that particular element may be.
So this report, is this a required report to do your renewal, or is this required by the state, or is it just required by the certification?
Yes, that's a great question. When you sign up to become an Oregon benefit company and you check a box and it goes in with your incorporating working papers, you do say that you agree by becoming an Oregon benefit company that you will produce an annual benefit report. And that is, how did you meet, and this is the words of the state, positive material impact on your community and on the planet. That's up to the business to communicate that information. Well, what we found is that the majority of people that have become benefit companies have not done that. They have not honored their commitment. So what happened is Marianne and I did a survey monkey with our people. And then we also did some voice, just some calls. And all of our people wanted us to require, this is benefit corporations for good. The state does not require, they don't have the monitoring and the governing of that part of it. They don't, that's not done. So our people have asked us that require that. So to get recertified, which the state doesn't require you, but to get recertified, we say you must produce this report. We have a blog that shows exactly a very simple basic template. It doesn't have to be like an annual shareholder report you'd see with major corporations, but it just tells, it's those simple things. And lots of our companies right now, we're blown away by what they are doing. I mean, it is so powerful, but once that's done, then they go through the recertification process. It's at a discounted rate at that point, and that stays that way for life. And then on our website, it says, you will see that if you're interested in this, if you're an interested party in this particular business, oh yeah, they are certified. Oh, and they did recertify for 2019 or 2020. This business is doing what they're supposed to be doing. And the nice thing about that recertification slug line that we have on our site is it takes the viewer directly to the annual benefit report of that particular business. So you can really see that they are walking their talk. Our own people have just made it even tougher because a lot of people we felt, have kind of been greenwashing, and they really haven't been honoring their obligation as an Oregon benefit company.
Report is actually open to the public to actually view this.
Correct. And Heather, in part of that legislative language, you must make it available. That's part of what the state is requiring you. How did you make, and you must share that either on your website or with your stakeholders. And of course, today, that's just about how everybody does it, is they share it with their...
And I'll add just one thing to that. Now, we are an independent third-party certifier. So there's the legal designation of a benefit company, which Tom alluded to, where actually the law says, you're supposed to do this benefit report. And because they can't audit it, a lot of people aren't doing it. But also, it's people that just say, I'm doing these same things. And so as a business designation, these are particularly like people that have been certified outside the state. Business designation, I really believe in benefit corporations for good. I like that certificate. I like to be able to tell people I believe in the people and planet. Right. And so they also, though, are getting recertified because they say, and here's where the marketing branding is like, it's a win-win. You not only are giving back to the community, you're growing your company, but you're letting those millennials and those Gen Zs and everyone know that through your annual report. For those that, don't want to take the legal designation, a lot of people are doing it. We have a number of certified companies that have not gone the legal route, but are doing it from a business perspective because they still are on that path. They still believe in that, and they still want to tell the story of how we all collaborative can help the community. And they're doing that through their businesses. So it is, it's a business certification that the state of Oregon endorses, an assessment that they believe is credible and legitimate, but it's also available to people who don't want to go the legal route.
Hey there, this is Heather. I hope you're enjoying the podcast. And if you are, if you wouldn't mind, please hit the subscribe button now. That way you'll never miss an episode. All right, now back to the podcast. So besides the obvious benefit of this, it seems like you're holding yourself accountable. So that's one great thing. And then you get the logo to put on your website or on your products or whatever. Some of the other benefits that a company can have besides the triple bottom line. What are their other benefits? Do they get to be listed on some website, or how does...
Companies that go through our certification, the first thing they get is, as you just said, Heather, they get a digital stamp that they can use on their website, across all their products, packaging, however they see fit to use it. That is up to them. Number two, they get a social media blast from us. They are featured in our newsletters on our social sites. Our newsletter has pushing 600 now. So those are businesses that are all interested in this purpose-driven movement, this triple bottom line movement. Thirdly, just before COVID hit, we were on the process of having quarterly meetings, and we've got to rethink that. But quarterly meetings where these businesses, it's just basically a simple networking group because these businesses all have values aligned. So it makes sense for them to do business together. And they already are. That's the other beauty. We had a holiday party last year. We discovered that many are already doing work together. The lawyer's doing work with a creative services firm, and packaged goods firm is seeking help from the graphic design firm. And it's just a really, it's the way it should work, and it just works beautifully. Our intent is to continue to bring these people together. The other thing that we did do last year, and we were going to do it this October, but I think it's going to happen. It's going to probably have to be in the first quarter when things kind of open up again. But we actually held a conscientious leadership retreat, a half day in Hood River. And we had 8, Marianne, I kind of forgot, 8 outstanding thought leaders come and speak on various aspects of just being a conscientious leader. Yes, the benefit corporation, triple bottom line had a thread through it, but it was more about being an awesome leader in these times that are asking a lot of businesses. Anyway, those are a couple things. Yeah, Marianne.
Well, I was just going to say, and for the companies that have been certified through us, then they got a discount on the conference, and they were able to go through kind of their certification process with us at the end with that opportunity of the conference.
One other thing here, Heather, that is, we think this is going to happen. It's just a matter of time. But our biggest question we get asked at any workshop we've ever put on, and you'll appreciate, particularly with your profession, is there a tax benefit? Is there a tax benefit for becoming a benefit corporation, an Oregon benefit company, certified or not certified? Our answer is not specifically now, but we do have a big but, as we say that if you look at Cook County, has Chicago inside its boundaries, or you look at Los Angeles County and you have the city of Los Angeles, both those counties now offer extra points if you're a business going after a government contract within those governmental agencies, whether it be their county or their city government. So they will get extra points on their proposal that they put in an answer to an RFQ. It only makes sense that Multnomah County, probably the state of Oregon should follow suit, and we believe that'll definitely happen. But that's kind of where I think it might play out if there is a, quote, direct financial advantage that you can pinpoint.
So if they're a business owner, they've never thought about triple bottom line. Maybe they don't see themselves as an environmentalist or an activist of any sort. How can they start getting involved, sort of get on the track to being more of a triple bottom line company? Are there things that they can start to implement in their business?
I like to say it's first we get the question, what is a benefit company? What is a benefit corporation? So they've probably heard something about that. What is conscious capitalism? What is a social entrepreneur? Anytime you get a question like that, then I know there's a tickle. There's something tickling them, about how to be cause-driven. And so we have a number, we have, over 100 blogs that talk about this, everything from what is equity? How do you be, what is humility? What is a good sustainable practices? How do you be green in your company? So it first starts with that tickle. Are you curious about that? And we have found, particularly with millennials, most companies, it's like, what's this all about? And then we all often show our video that talks about the movement. We have great library of resources that kind of culminates in people taking that sniff test that Tom alluded to at the beginning, where it's kind of like, well, yeah, I'm kind of want to be more equitable, and I believe in green practices, opening their eyes and ears up to the fact that the train's left the station. People are now saying, this is good for business, caring about people and planet. Yeah, we want to be a resource. In fact, we've either through the book, there's a business school back east that uses our book. The Small Development Center uses our book with some of their classes. We've done workshops around the state. It's just people being curious, and they know, I think the time is right from COVID, realizing like, hey, we're all in this together. Black Lives Matter. It's like, my goodness, we need to be sure that we understand and are open and are sensitive to all people. The timing's right. So if they're curious, we want to be a resource.
We have a standard, and I can't remember, Heather, if I've been saying, we have a standard 4 that we send to anybody inquiring that really is awesome. It's very simple to digest, and it gives you the compelling reasons why you should do it. It's the why and the how, basically. Some of the myths, because the language is really cumbersome. There's so many different, what is an Oregon benefit company versus a Washington public benefit corporation. And we explain that they're very minor differences. People that have that interest, the real beauty of this is Marianne and I get more and more steeped in it. There's so much flexibility that you as a business owner can figure out what works best for you. As long as you have a commitment to bettering your community through the environment or through social justice action, whatever that may be, you can do that under the auspices of an Oregon benefit company. Public Benefit Corporation is being offered. There are 4 countries now that are pursuing it. British Columbia, Canada just did it. So, I mean, it's been strictly a U.S. phenomenon for the most part. But I think in Argentina is another country that's doing it. Mm-hmm. Ecuador, I think, was one. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you see this idea, and we've heard about it through Certified B Corps, which is a very high level large corporation, for the most part, larger corporations. Our people, this standard is perfect for the smaller business, and I think our largest business at this point, Marianne, I think we don't have anybody who has more than 35 employees. Now, the East Coast, if we get the East Coast, well, there's like 300 employees. And I will add the other thing that's really interesting is that we have 3 or 4 businesses of the 41 that are also certified B Corps in addition to being a certified benefit corporation for good. They really like our standard, and it has, and they wanted to have it. They wanted the branding. They wanted to be part of the state, or they wanted to be part of their area, or whatever the reason is.
People are not actually a member yet, but they have the tickle, as Marianne says. This is the best way for them to sort of stay on top of what's going on with you. I know you have an email that goes out every so often.
What I love to send out, if people are interested, if they've seen the newsletter, in fact, we maybe might want to post this in one of our upcoming newsletters, is we actually created the business case for becoming a benefit corporation.
That goes out. That is one of the links we do send out.
We had some of the larger, like the bank that we certified, they said, remember we met with them and they said, well, just tell me the business case again. And we have lots of data that shows why this is good for business too. Follow our newsletter. We're on social. Tom does a great job of keeping us updated on Instagram and on LinkedIn and on Facebook.
Yeah. And Heather, people that we are always, Greenlight always, we have a contact page. We do answer within 24 hours, usually, within that same day. If people just have questions, they want to hit us up, that works very well. And that's how we've been getting a lot of our inquiries lately.
Well, thank you so much. Do you have anything else that you want to add before we conclude?
I mean, Marianne, you might, one thing I would just encourage, if people are really interested, a real simple way, and it's very expensive. I think our book's $14. And if they want to, it lays out the business case. It's very simple. You get to see what 11 thought leaders that Marianne's holding out. It's on Amazon. You can come to our site and get it. However you want to go at it. It's a great read. We just had somebody in New England who was going to represent us. Actually, she's in Connecticut and is going to represent us in New York and New Jersey. She loves our standard because of exactly some of the things you've been asking us about, and our ability to work with small businesses and to help them and coach them and be with them. That's our mission. That's who we are right now. And that's what we want to do for the rest of our working years.
I was just going to say, the only other thing I would add is just that we learn from our businesses. I mean, it's kind of like,
absolutely,
it has been a journey. We've been doing this for over 2 years now, but it's like we gain as much as we hope we can share, because there's just so much these small entrepreneurs, mid-sized businesses are doing so much that they are our teachers as well. I think that part of it, when I say like we're all in this together, it's the fact that yes, it's a journey, but it's also we're all school for all of us as we begin to understand what works, what doesn't work, try this, try that. So it's very, very much this dynamic kind of process of learning from one another.
Well, that's awesome. Well, thank you both so very much for being on my podcast.
Thanks,
you.
Heather. Yeah, this was
Heather.
A blast.
Hey, this is Heather. Thanks so much for listening to the podcast. If you found value in the show, I'd really appreciate it if you gave me a rating on iTunes. or just simply tell a friend about it. And if you're interested in learning more about my profit advising and coaching, please set up a discovery call by using the link in the show notes. All right, thanks so much and see you next time.